Tell me, Rafe, what's your great idea?
I think we should kill them all.
Rose, look like Lady Liberty.
Like how the adventures in Outer Banks took the characters to unbelievable places, the cast also had their own free run on doing what they wanted in some scenes. And the crazy thing is, most of that was kept in the show, which we have collected and will be exposing as they are some of the best scenes in the series. Outer Banks characters had many running and breathless moments from their exciting adventures. With this, the cast was free to do whatever they wanted, even while shooting, because the set was just like the series, where they had the freedom to do anything. Interestingly, the crew on set was always ready to capture these moments, as they had 3 different cameras to capture any unscripted moment. So it's not just something that accidentally happens. Instead, they already knew the cast would insert themselves into the show. And the crew was always ready to capture that because the improvised moments were so honest and funny that they didn't want to miss out on them. However, you will be shocked at the improvised scenes as we get to those special unscripted moments soon. Here's what Ward Cameron had to say.
That's improvised. Some of those little lines that you love the most, all the writers would tell you that's just them talking. So once again, they have that freedom that we had on Whose Line.
And that's one of the reasons why many viewers could relate to the young characters trying to find the lost treasures. The cast had to improvise a lot, not only because they were permitted to, but another crazy reason why was that the cast didn't read the script thoroughly, like John B. revealed here.
What would you guys do differently if we could go back to before you started filming?
I would say maybe read the scripts a couple
times. That'd be helpful, yeah.
There's been a number of times I'm like, where's my line? And so, you know, like especially in the early episodes, I just have word vomit so often.
JJ instantly agreed to this because he always forgot his lines on set in between their running around, and he had no choice but to improvise. Rudy made many mistakes on set that were too funny and couldn't be cut out from the show, and you will be surprised at how much all of these are as we get to them in a bit. Another reason why improvisation became a thing is that the cast couldn't tell their real lives apart from their activities in the series while filming because of their closeness with each other. John B. and JJ lived together while filming season 1, so their characters would have the necessary bond and chemistry, and Sarah was living in the same building with them on set. However, the wicked Rafe and Kiara lived only about a 5-minute drive away from John B. and JJ. While Pope and Topper were constantly at each other's throats in the show, you won't believe they were roommates and were much closer behind the scenes. So whenever they aren't running around and working on set, they hang out with each other and do many exciting things. All of these made their real life very similar to their characters in the show. As mentioned earlier, the cast of Outer Banks was always making things up as they go, and you'll be shocked to know that this notebook-style kiss was unscripted.
I can't pretend either.
The iconic scene ended up winning Best Kiss at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. Shockingly enough, only the kiss itself was scripted, but kissing in the rain wasn't in the script. As they were about to start filming the kiss scene, the rain started, and instantly the unscripted idea came to them, and they decided it would be best to get the kiss in the rain. Madeline spoke about this moment saying, "The crew was like, hell yes, we're doing this, full Notebook vibes. And yeah, so we just dedicated the entire day to making sure we did that scene justice." So fans should know that the scene would have been very different if the rain hadn't been included, because it was as if it added more life and energy to the romance between Sarah and John B at that exact moment. JJ is one of the most fascinating characters in the show, despite having family issues that usually ruin his moods while with his friends. His situation with his father was a tough one, and many of the emotional words he spoke about his dad in one scene were completely unscripted.
Okay, well, you know what? I didn't do that. I got a hot tub. For my friends. I got a hot tub for my friends. You know what? No, you know what? Screw friends. I got a hot tub for my family. I got this for you.
Regarding how it all happened, JJ mentioned that the director of that episode, Valerie Weiss, permitted him to let his emotions flow freely, and he was glad he had that chance. According to Rudy, he couldn't find a traumatic experience in his life and channel it into JJ's relationship with his father. However, he still made use of some emotional things regarding himself. He said, "I remember there's some stuff that wasn't put in there, but there's a lot of improv stuff near the end there about my dad." He mentioned that he needed to get to the pain and heartbreak, and he had to use use his own dad to trigger that, which was difficult. Rudy noted that JJ's experience was very toxic and he didn't have anything related to that, but he just had to bring out the emotions and talk about his dad. The actor added that it was challenging, but thinking about his own dad in that scene made him get deeper into it, and he was glad to see the editors keep all of the unscripted moments in the show. JJ being emotional is rare, but always genuine whenever it happens. So what most fans think of when they remember JJ is his fantastic sense of humor, and this also played a part behind the scenes, as JJ was playing around while they were knocking on the motel room to find out who owned the boat.
Okay.
JJ wasn't meant to say housekeeping according to the script, but it makes sense and sounded fun enough that they decided to keep it in the show. In season 2, John B. finally had the chance to confront Ward after learning about what he did to his father. Although this confrontational scene was included in the script, the words from John B. were all improvised.
This is how you killed my father. You just threw him in the ocean. I never got to say goodbye. Because you.
Chase mentioned how that happened even with such a personal scene, saying, "It's funny because that whole sequence of what I said to him wasn't scripted. That was me and Eston, and he told me to speak from the heart." So he added that he felt those things were what John B. would say. So he decided just to let the words flow and was glad that they kept them all in. As the series progressed, the cast became bolder with improvisation, so they all did what they wanted instead of what the script said. In season 3, Pope and Cleo had their unscripted moment, which was insane.
Yeah.
I quit.
But the funny thing is that it was written in the script that they should share a cheek kiss. Here is what Cleo had to say about it.
Even if they didn't write it in the script, me and JD had it was like, oh well. At the end of the day, we were just gonna do it and it was gonna be on camera.
I love that.
We were gonna.
Great choice.
We agreed that we were just gonna kiss and see what happened.
Yeah.
So
It's way better that way.
They would still have gone for it either way, as they believe their characters have fantastic chemistry, and their friendships on set give them even more confidence to showcase that. JJ had to be a waiter to get into one of the Kooks' parties in the show, and his entrance in that scene was very delightful but unscripted.
It's okay, everybody. Do not panic. Let's leave it to the men and women in uniform, huh? Let's hear it for them. Rose, look like Lady Liberty. It's good to see you again. Ooh, hey, buddy, can I have one of those?
JJ confessed that he was just given a route to walk through, and that however he chose to walk in was left to him.
Jonas was like, "This is your route. Do you, Rudy. I trust you." And he let me go when there's 200 extras, and I just have to and it was just a fun, amazing feeling of like, this is actually happening. Like it was like I'm at a party with all these people, and feel the pressure of the cameras on you.
So he was nervous, but he still made it very fun. One of the best love stories fans want to see work out is that of JJ and Kiara. They started drifting apart at a point, and Kiara began to develop a thing for Pope, which made JJ very jealous. And the crazy thing is that JJ approached this in an amusing way, which wasn't in the script.
In the bedroom, is it like kind of freaky because it's Pope? Yeah.
Why are you asking?
I don't know, just kind of curious. Just spitballing here.
You don't need to spitball. We could sit in silence.
Ranking-wise.
Oh, you're still asking?
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. Is John B better? Or...
What?
Most of the words coming from JJ were spontaneous, as viewers could see the humor in it even though he was jealous. Only JJ could turn a moment like that into a funny one, so the crew felt that the scene perfectly made good sense. The Pogues might be more rugged than the Kooks, but they are more fun and adventurous, which is why they are a big deal on the winning side. And when the gang found themselves on a strange island where they became free from being followed for a while, JJ got an idea of what name to give the island.
Poglandia.
Oh boy.
I claim the Poglandia. I like the ring of it. I'm gonna make a flag. It's gonna have a chicken on it with a coconut bra, smoking a J, and Crocs.
Poglandia was never part of the script, but JJ just came up with it, and the show decided to get on with it. Since Poglandia was accepted, they added the Poglandia flag, which was also not part of the initial plan.
Well, that's the circle of life, Kate. Unless you want to eat coconuts forever.
But this made the name more serious on set, and they even ended up hosting an epic Poglandia experience with thousands of fans. Then, the unscripted moments kept getting crazier as the production team decided to include minor accidents that happened on set.
Yeah, it's in the center. I'll be right back. Got it. Be right up. I'm okay.
This fall wasn't part of the script as JJ was meant just to run out, but since he fell and stood right back up, it looks perfect since accidents aren't unexpected with the many runarounds they had to do in the show. Although some intentional improvisations and minor accidents were unscripted, they had to be included because they looked good. Outer Banks also made some mistakes and thought the fans wouldn't notice.
Triple mission gun? No. What did we do? Yeah, it was a flood. Okay, yes.
In that footage, John B's dad called him by his real name, Chase, which was a mistake on his part. But the production decided to overlook it because it also sounded like he said kid as well, which works depending on fans' interpretations. Another unscripted moment in the show was when Cleo started losing her Jamaican accent.
I mean, we know this is some sort of translation key, right? I don't get it. I mean, look, this is the sun, and that's the glyph for sun. And this is gold, and that's the glyph for gold, but it's not like a dictionary.
This happened because the accent wasn't natural from the beginning, but it's something that comes with her character that she had to learn to speak. However, as she began to spend more time with the other cast members, she started forgetting she needed her accent to keep up with her character. Interestingly, the show saw nothing wrong with this unscripted mistake and decided to include it. Many fans have begun to wonder why the show would make such a mistake, and they came up with the excuse that Cleo spending more time with the Pogues could change her accent, which can happen to people in real life too. Also, most of the things the cast says while searching for leads to the treasures were all made up based on what they were feeling at that moment and not what's in the script. JJ revealed that following the script is sometimes awkward on set because some have longer lines while some have shorter or no lines. So a character just standing and listening according to the script doesn't cut it most of the time, so they try to include their own funny responses, making the conversations much better. And that's why the crew was particular about capturing all the unscripted moments as they made OBX more relatable than they imagined.